Hi everyone, we've got this super full moon in Aries coming up on the 17th of October, and it is really heightening that energy of illumination, but also the purging and detaching that we need to do from that which is not serving us. If we look at the sign that the moon is in, of course, Aries, that represents the self, and it's very much connected to sovereignty and being the leader of our own life. So we need to be focusing on where do we need to detach from that is holding us back from stepping into our sovereignty or onto our sovereign path. What is kind of preventing us from feeling that we are sovereign enough to move forward in that way of, being a leader of our own life? And how can we transform our reality going forward that's more aligned in that way? So it's going to illuminate certain things, and you may already be aware, of course, of aspects and areas and situations from which you need to detach, because, of course, the last lunar event we had was the new moon in Libra, and that was on the 2nd or 3rd of October, depending on where you are in the world. And that came with an eclipse. And we had an eclipse before that as well, with the full moon that preceded that. So we had eclipse season, big illumination, awakening, clarity, these kind of aha moments. And of course, now we've got this full moon, super full moon in Aries that's saying, okay, we probably need further illumination of certain things, especially for those that haven't maybe awakened to their path fully, or it's going to serve us further ascension, okay, to realize what's going on here. But we need to understand that this is working hand in hand with what's going on with Pluto in Capricorn at the moment. And of course, I'm going to pull up the chart and I'm going to show you what I was drawn to, certainly with the aspects that are going on, quite interesting and very heightened energy that relates to a spiritual awakening or further ascension, in my opinion, okay? But really, look at what Pluto is doing in Capricorn. Pluto is at 29 degrees of Capricorn. He stationed direct last week, and he is now moving forward in the sign of Capricorn. He's in Saturn's home, and he is trudging up the gunk, the muck, all the stuff that we need to detach from. So he's exposing it for us because he's trudging it up from a deep level. Pluto goes deep. He is not surface level. So on the 19th of November, he's going to move into Aquarius, and he's not going to be back in Capricorn for another 248 years. So I've mentioned this before in previous astrology reports. This is a significant shift in our lifetime. We're not going to experience Pluto back in Capricorn in our lifetime. So realities are changing, whether we like it or not. This is what is happening. And if you are awake and alert to certain things, you're already going to be seeing this in your own life, but also globally with what's going on. Capricorn, of course, is earth energy. It's about that 3D reality. And, Pluto is in this grand earth trine, of course, with Vesta in Virgo and Uranus in Taurus. So our reality, our physical reality, is changing and transforming. And that's it. So we can take control with that Aries energy. So focus with the Aries energy of the warrior spirit, the sovereignty, leader of our own life. And understand, if we know what we need to close out as a cycle, if we know what we need to detach from, then we need to be doing this. And it's not to put pressure on anybody, because this is all about, if it's resonating for you and you're aligned with the energy, then you're aligned with the energy. And I will point out, as I say quite often, that our natal charts are unique to us. That's our soul's blueprint. So wherever Pluto is at the moment in the cosmos, I'm giving you the collective message. He's also going to be transiting a part of your natal chart. So he's going to be transiting in a specific house, and that's going to be different for everybody. So he might be conjunct one of your planets. He might be making a trine to another planet. He might be making a square. It's very unique to us. And I have got Pluto scopes available for anybody that's wanting to dig into that deeper to see what Pluto is doing in your own natal chart. But that's going to provide emphasis in a greater detail that is more specific to you when you look at that against your natal chart. But from a collective point of view, he is in Capricorn, okay? And he's at the anaretic degree. He's at the final degree of Capricorn. So that's where he's stationed direct. He's been there before because he moved into Aquarius and then he retrograded back. So we've kind of had this sort of like stop-start movement almost of him getting into that new reality of Aquarius, giving us a taster of that, and then pulling back into Saturn's home to really trudge up the stuff that needs to be closed out once and for all. And it can be harsh. 29 degrees, the anaretic degree, can be harsh, can be intense. It's also known as the degree of fate, the degree of karma. So there is a lot going on here relating to this. And again, you're going to be aware of some of that in your own life if you're awakened to it. And you're going to be aware of what's going on globally that relates to this. He is taking down systems, structures that are not serving our highest good. And that is the reality that's coming into being. Okay. So I will come onto the charts. But, you know, of note of what I will show you is that there is this grand cross, this grand square of cardinal energy. And of course, the full moon is in a cardinal sign of Aries. We're in a cardinal sign of Libra at the moment. That is where the sun is. And very interestingly, Juno is exactly conjunct the sun at 24 degrees of Libra. There is big emphasis here about soul contracts. And, you know, we've got to recognize that some of these soul contracts do need to close out. And some of them need to profoundly transform. So it's however it resonates, you know, for everybody's unique situation, if it's resonating at all. But the other opposition that's within the mix there is between Mars and Pluto. That's heavy masculine energy facing off against one another. So this is why I feel there's a big spiritual awakening, and that could be from the masculine side of the collective, okay, or those that identify as that masculine essence, okay, because we've got both essences within us. But we could be looking at, you know, divine masculine's spiritual awakening significantly, because Pluto is there in opposition, but it can feel harsh. It's not going to be an easy ride, or it could just symbolize further ascension. It could also indicate death of the unhealthy ego, and that could exist in all of us. So, you know, this is what's going on. It's Mars wants to take action and get things done, but he's in the sign of Cancer. He's being softened at the moment and having to be nurtured through this, because there is this profound transformation on the way. So we'll come on to that. And Venus, if we look at the feminine essence, she is at the anaretic degree of Scorpio. Pluto rules Scorpio. So there is a connection there as well. So, you know, this is profound for both the feminine essence and the masculine essence within us and outside of us, you know, in our connections. But it's big because it's heightening the energy. We've got to look at what Pluto's doing alongside all of this. We can't escape this. And Saturn is teaching us lessons. So everything that we're learning from Saturn is enabling us to close out these cycles. And this is what's going on. But it's a big deal. It is a big deal. He is not messing around, let me tell you that. Okay, so let's get into the chart. Okay, I've also got some cards here. I'll pull some extra messages at the end if I'm guided to. So let's just pull up the chart for you. And I've also got the one of the UK, which I do often show as well, just to give context on the house system. Okay, here we go. Right, so super full moon in Aries, so 17th of October. And for us in the UK, it's actually happening at 12:26 British summertime, because we're still on BST. We haven't quite moved into GMT yet, but we will be shortly because the seasons are changing. But here you go. There's quite a lot going on, as you can see. So hopefully the colours come out as they are on here, but we've got the moon, as I said, okay? So the moon is in Aries. Now, alongside the moon, we've got Chiron. So Chiron is in Aries, as is the North Node, okay? But Chiron is closer to the moon here. So there is something very healing about this. This is about healing our sovereignty. We do need to stand up for ourselves. We do need to focus on what we want. And that might just feel a little bit uncomfortable because we're having to put ourselves first. Okay, that's one of the things that this full moon could bring up for us, where we've actually given our power away to other connections, other situations, and we've not focused on the self, we're now having to focus on the self. What do we want? How do we want to feel? So we're healing our sovereignty, but it might just feel a bit uncomfortable. Now, there's good things going on here, as well as challenging things going on here. It's a bigger picture with astrology, as I've said many times before. Okay, so let's get into it here. So the moon is there, and we know opposite. We have got the sun there, 24 degrees of Libra, exactly conjunct Juno. So exact conjunction degrees wise. Okay, the minutes are different, but they are basically on top of one another if you look at it like that. So Juno's in the mix here as well. It's not just the sun. And this is why I say, you know, the sun represents the soul essence of the cosmos, and Juno is the asteroid, divine feminine energy that represents love and commitment, love and marriage. So I often look at Juno depending on the other aspects, and I would say that that's to do with contracts. Now, Juno in Libra, very, very much about contracts, I would say. So when we have the sun right next to Juno, that's about soul, sun, contracts. So this is about our soul contracts. And again, that feeling of we need to put ourselves first here. Yes, we need to balance things out. We want our soul contracts to be fair, balanced, harmonious. But that's where the push-pull energy comes in, because we've got to focus on ourselves if we need to detach from certain things. And maybe we need to detach from certain things in order to bring more fairness and balance and harmony in a soul contract. Okay? So it's however it resonates. If it resonates at all, I'll remind you of that again. But we can't escape the fact that the sun and the moon and Mars over here and Pluto are in this grand square. So you can see the square that I've drawn, and you can probably see the cross that's in the middle. Okay, so it's a grand square and grand cross we've got here. So we look at the squares, that's challenging energy. So it's going to be challenging energy from a cardinal perspective. It's all cardinal energy. And yes, we want to get things started. We want to get things moving, but we've got to understand what we need to close out in order to move forward. And that's where the challenging energy comes in. Mars, you know, is being softened by the Cancerian energy. So the masculine energy is actually in a sign that is divine feminine and also is the ruler of the moon. So, or the moon rules Cancer, should I say, you know what I mean? But we have got Mars there that, of course, wants to, you know, take action and to do the masculine thing of, you know, going after what we want. And Pluto is trudging up all the stuff in Capricorn. So this opposition energy is saying, hold your horses, mate. You need to actually understand what you've got to close out first before you take action on something else, for example. Or you need to understand, mate, what you've got to close out so that you can move forward. And because Mars is in Cancer, okay, it might not be, you know, the best energy to motivate, but it's nurturing. That's what it feels like to me. And Mars, of course, is the ruler of Aries, and that's where the moon is. So the feelings connected to this can be one of frustration, because it's like, I want to motivate myself to move forward, but okay, I've got to close out these cycles. I've got to really, really transform my reality here. Thanks, Pluto. So how do I feel about that? Bit miffed, actually, because it means I've got to be patient with myself. I've got to actually go through this process. And all in all, yes, we want our soul contracts. And of course, we have soul contracts with people, and we have soul contracts with things, you know, it could be jobs, whatever it might be. So we've got to understand, you know, and even with a place, if we've outlived a place and we're becoming aware of that more and more, we want to take action, but have we fully closed things out in order to move us forward so that we can transform our reality in that way? Remember what I said before, it might be that, of course, we do need to close certain things out in order to stabilize harmony in a soul contract, to bring back fairness, or to simply restore divine justice with that Libra energy. And that's healing. Okay, so Chiron is there. Chiron's in retrograde in Aries. So introspection on the healing journey. And those of you that know, when I say inner work, that can trigger people. It even triggers me to a certain extent, because I've had to go through a lot of inner work. So we know, those of us on this path that are awakened to this, that things come up that need to be healed, and it can be challenging and it can be painful, but this is actually about moving us forward in the direction of our sovereignty. How do we know what's right for us if we don't know what's wrong for us? So we're having these experiences, and Saturn is teaching us all of this. Harsh lessons, it's Saturn. Harsh lessons. And Pluto cleaning up Saturn's home at the final anaretic degree, harsh. So not easy, not easy. And, you know, we are aligning with this energy because we want to move forward into this new age of Aquarius and understand that, you know, we can experience the reality that we want to have. And to really just get rid of those limiting thoughts, the conditioning that we've had to go through, societal expectations, these systems and structures that are just not working for us, that are in our own lives and globally. So as I said before, Pluto's ripping this up. So, you know, you're seeing it happen. If you're awake to it, you're seeing it happen. This is happening. So that's the you know, the square energy there, cardinal energy. We start things off from the cardinal energy. That's what gives us that oomph, that motivation. But we've got to take stock of what we're closing out, because of course, as I mentioned before, Pluto's not going to be back in Capricorn for another 248 years. So we're not going to experience that in our lifetime. So this is really kind of detaching from those cycles that we need to close out within our reality. Okay. And Capricornian energy can relate to things to do with work, inner authority, so anything that's been challenging that, also structures, systems, boundaries, rules. Okay. Time is also part of this. So we need to understand that we're not actually on our time, we're on divine timing. And that might sound cheesy, but you're going to know what I mean if it's resonating for you. Now, in addition to the squares, which is the challenging energy, I thought I'd get that out of the way first. We've also got some trines going on, and most notably, you're probably going to see that triangle that's in the middle. So that's a grand trine, and that's been there for quite some time. That has Pluto in the mix as well, because Pluto's getting involved in everything, let me tell you, at the moment. So he is there with Vesta in Virgo and Uranus in Taurus, and Uranus is retrograde, as we know. Introspection here on you know, the changes that we need to experience. Certainly our worth and values come into this as well, but this is to do with reality. It's earth energy. It's earth energy. So our physical realities are changing, as I've just mentioned. But note that this is a trine, this is a grand trine. So this is a harmonious aspect in astrology. The fact that our realities are changing is a good thing. The discomfort comes from understanding what we need to detach from and taking the action to detach from those things. And that's where the uncomfortableness comes in. But the fact our realities are changing, that is good. Because do we want to be attached to things that are not serving us anymore? Not really. But have they been familiar and kind of a bit of a false comfort blanket, and it feels a bit weird to detach from? Maybe. See where I'm going with this? So it's a good thing. The other great thing here that I saw was the fact that Mars and Venus, the masculine and feminine essence, okay, that we have within us, they're both in trine to Neptune. Now, when I did the astrology report for Pluto stationing direct, Mars and Venus were actually in trine with one another as well. Now they're not, and that's not to say that's a bad thing. It's almost to say they came together for that moment, okay, of Pluto stationing direct, and came together to balance out in that way. Now they're in harmony to Neptune, and of course Neptune rules Pisces, is retrograde in Pisces at the moment, and relates to that spiritual essence, the subconscious, that ethereal essence, the 5D. Okay, the 5D. I've just been talking about the 3D reality that we're living in. our physical reality, but we've also got the 5D. So we can connect to that via our intuition. And a lot of us are at the moment because we're straddling both dimensions. So this is actually profound because the masculine and feminine essence within us is connected in to that 5D energy and being guided by our intuition, by our inner compass, in terms of that action that we do need to take from the masculine drive point of view, but also the fact that we do need to hold our horses a bit, and our intuition, inner compass guiding us towards the feminine aspect of, you know, where we might need to create certain things and also nurture certain aspects, okay, because that's feminine energy. But with Venus in Scorpio at the anaretic degree of Scorpio as well, this is about, you know, closing out when you think of our investments from a Venus perspective, where we are investing our time, our energy, our love, our money, our attention, our resources in that way, our Venus values. We're being guided from our intuition on that as well, where we're needing to close those out and to go deep, because she's in Scorpio at this particular moment. Remember, this is a freeze frame of the cosmos at the time of this super full moon, when the moon is going to be at its fullest. So we've got, you know, Venus there in Pluto's home. So Pluto's in Capricorn, Saturn's home, and Venus is there at that moment in Pluto's home. So this is definitely about closing out those investments that are not working for us, those unnecessary investments of our energy, almost like getting to the point of saying, I've had enough of this. I am not investing my time in this anymore. I've had enough of this. I am not investing any more of my love and attention, my money in this anymore. It's not serving me. So that is how that's linking in with that energy. And the fact that, you know, we're being guided by our intuition for this is great, because we're connected into that 5D of what's not serving us in the 3D. We're getting the downloads from the 5D. And there is a sextile, which is also harmonious, from Venus to Pluto. So there you go, working in harmony with this profound transformation of our reality. That's what's going on here. Okay, and they're both at 29 degrees. So that's another synchronicity there. The anaretic degree, the degree of fate, the degree of karma. Okay, so we're needing to close things out to restore that balance in our soul contracts, but also to make profound changes going forward in our reality. Okay. The moon is also, where's the moon? Sorry, no, Chiron, apologies. Chiron is also in sextile to Jupiter, 21 degrees. Okay, so they've got that kind of synchronicity with the number as well. But, you know, this is where this healing journey, everything that we're experiencing, it might feel uncomfortable, but it is healing our sovereignty, because we're learning to stand up for ourselves, and maybe we've not done that before. This is focusing on the self, okay? And if we were to lose everything around us, what is going to be the most important thing for us, you know, as the self? And the sextile to Jupiter, and Jupiter we know is in retrograde, is offering that inner expansion and growth. So not only are we healing our sovereignty because we are expanding internally because of what we're experiencing, the very fact that we are healing our sovereignty is allowing us to expand even more in that way. Okay, and that could also be through our communication and expression, you know, by speaking up for ourselves as well. That's allowing that expansion also with Jupiter and Gemini there. Okay, fabulous. Well, that's all I wanted to really say about that. And you might be thinking, that's enough, actually. That's enough. I felt quite passionate about those points. But again, these are messages that need to come across to people to help. Okay, this is all about helping us as a collective move forward. And, you know, it's going to resonate or it's not going to resonate. I'm going to show you the chart against the UK. So bear with me a second. It's that one. Yeah. Okay. Lots going on, as you can see, because obviously this is two charts against each other. I've got a smaller circle in the middle to play with, so it's not the best artistic diagram that you've ever seen, but you know, it could prove entertaining to some of you. But you know, we've got the moon up here. This is in the 10th house for the UK, so this is about work and inner authority, social status. Okay, so, you know, we're healing our sovereignty in that respect, and perhaps in work situations, but we need to understand that the foundation, you know, fourth house, that is where, you know, these soul contracts are coming into play. That's where the soul essence is. And then we've also got the 6th house and the 12th house in the mix with that cardinal square, okay, and the cross, the ground cross. So, you know, Pluto in the 6th house is basically trudging up stuff that is to do with our daily routines. What is not working for us, this has got to go, this has got to change. It's not working for us anymore, it's not serving us. Where are we of service to others? What is not working for us in that respect? And also well-being. So we want to transform, we need to close things out to improve our well-being. Absolutely. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, he's going to move into the 7th house for the UK. So again, this is going to be different for you in your own natal chart. So I'm just showing you the UK's chart, okay, from a collective perspective. But that means, you know, he's going to move into the 7th house for the UK, and that's about relationships with people, places, things. So we are now closing out where things are not working for us, where we are of service to people and it's not working, and also daily routines and schedules. You know, where's that not working for us? So we need to look at that. And that also links in, thank you, Spirit, that links into that investment of Venus energy, you know, because if we're investing our time and our energy into certain things during the day that's not working for us, well, Pluto's going to trudge it up and say, I'm exposing this so you can see this ain't working for you anymore. You've got to get rid of it. You've got to close this cycle out. Okay, so remember, Venus is at the anaretic degree as well as Pluto. So yes, there is a link there. Okay, and the 12th house is in the mix as well. So this is about the subconscious, the ethereal. We need to be trusting our intuition, absolutely. But this can also be saying as well that there might be some things hidden. Well, not for much longer. And the full moon, super full moon, could be exposing a lot of this as well. Okay. This grand earth trine, which I've not drawn because there would be too many lines going on in that middle circle, relates to, you know, Vesta in Virgo. We've got Pluto, obviously we've got Uranus. So it's the 11th house, the 6th house once again, and the 3rd house. So yeah, our expression, our realities are changing in terms of how we actually stand up for ourselves and how we express ourselves and communicate certain things within our connections with others. 11th house, that pertain to where we are of service to others, and also our daily routines and schedules. Okay. Then we've got, as I mentioned, both Venus and Mars in trine to Neptune. So Neptune's the 9th house, discovery, learning. We have been on a journey of discovery with our intuition. Saturn is there as well, teaching us to get into alignment with our spiritual truth. We have been learning the lessons. Our intuition has been guiding us and teaching us, as well as Saturn. So it's the 9th house there with the 5th house and the 12th house. Okay, so again, that ethereal essence within, we have been connecting in with that soul compass energy, and also within the heart chakra, 5th house. So when it relates to, you know, our investments, when it comes to love, when it comes to things that bring us joy, artistic expression, all of that kind of stuff, we're understanding where our soul is guiding us to what is not bringing that joy, and where we're not feeling connected to our intuition. Okay, we're learning this 9th house. It's discovery. And, you know, again, Pluto and Venus in sextiles, so that's the 5th and the 6th house. So they're side by side in terms of houses. So yeah, you know, we've got to understand from a heart chakra perspective what is bringing us joy and what isn't bringing us joy in terms of those investments that Spirit reminded me of just then. There is a link here. So we've got to understand in our day-to-day way of being, are we investing too much time in a certain thing? Are we investing our time in a certain person? Are we investing our attention in a certain thing? And it's not working for us. We need to close those cycles out. This is under the microscope for a reason, because our realities are changing. Okay. Oosh. Mic drop moment. But seriously, you know, it is changing. It is changing. And I wanted to, before I bring up a different chart, because I'm just going to show you the Venus ingress into Sagittarius, which is happening, you know, 8 hours and 3 minutes after this super full moon. So very close. I'm going to show you that chart. But before I do, I got my tarot deck out, which I've not used for a long time, certainly not with the collective messages anyway. But I wanted to show you the Pluto energy, how it's depicted in one of the decks, my favorite deck. This is that scorpionic energy carried forth by Pluto. So we've got death and rebirth because it's profound transformation, okay? And this is about a portal. This is about stepping through that portal, but we need to transform. It's death and rebirth, okay? And also the tower. This is the tower moments that are happening in our reality. And, you know, we're choosing to work with this energy, or we're allowing the energy to happen, okay? So this is basically a crumbling of the old. And I like how it's depicted in this deck. In the traditional Rider-Waite, it's a male and a female falling from a tower that's on fire, which is obviously a more brutal depiction, I would say. This has some nature aspects here, but there is still that lightning strike. So it's still something that's going to crumble the old, but notice the butterflies. It's in order to transform. That's why. So what Pluto is doing is exactly that. He is turfing up these things that are not working in order for us to move into that new reality, that age of Aquarius, okay? So that's just to depict that. And I wanted to just give you something to symbolize the Capricornian energy, okay? And any Capricorns watching, this is not saying that this is what you are, who you are, okay? But if you look at this, what I'm saying by this, and I'm not going to say the name of this card for obvious reasons, but with this is about being bound and tethered to something that is not serving us. So what I mean by that is with Pluto, ripping things up, turfing things up, it's about those aspects where we feel tethered to something, chained to something that's not working for us anymore. So we're being encouraged to detach from it because it's not serving us. Do you see what I mean? That's to depict that energy for you. So yes, it's definitely, you know, about trusting process as well, but being aware of the cycles that do need to close out, and they could be big or small cycles. But all I'll say is what Pluto's doing is major cycles, okay? And I've got some oracles here. I was going to dive in, but first of all, I am going to go, sorry, typical Pisces, I'm going to go back to the other chart I wanted to show you just very quickly. This is Venus in Sag. So as I said, it's just over 8 hours after the super full moon in Aries. And we know that Venus and Mars were both in trine to Neptune. So this is still here. So that's still the case. And Venus is still in sextile to Pluto. So that's still, you know, going on, but we can see that she is at 0 degrees of Sag at this point. And for the UK, that is at 20:29 in the evening, 8:29 p.m. on the 17th. So what was interesting here is the moon at this point will still be in Aries, but the moon will then be at 29 degrees, the anaretic degree. So before the moon then moves into Taurus, this is about, okay, understanding that, right, Venus has moved into Sag. So in terms of that heart chakra energy, Sagittarius is very expansive. Jupiter rules Sag. So this is about opening up that heart chakra to experience the joy that we want to experience, but knowing what we're having to close out because we've been investing our Venus energy in the wrong places, in the wrong things, in the wrong people. This is about being open to the new going forward, and how that's working with, you know, the moon being at 29 degrees. Okay, it might feel harsh because we're having to say, okay, I'm moving forward. I need to leave that behind. I need to close it out. And challenging those feelings of our sovereignty. Okay, that's how it can feel. But, you know, all in all, it feels positive because it feels very expansive energy for Venus. And it's fiery energy as well. So it's quite like passionately inspired. That's how it feels to me. As well as that trine to Neptune, which is still there, and Mars is still trine to Neptune as well. She's also now in trine to the North Node, which she wasn't at the point of the super full moon. So after that full moon has illuminated things, or we know what we need to detach from, perhaps we've been working with the energy to detach from certain things, then there is this harmonious aspect between Venus and the North Node. So that's saying, well, we can move forward now in the direction of our sovereignty, our true north, our path forward, our purpose, guided by the heart chakra, by that Venus essence. So that's very powerful. There is opposition energy with Uranus. Okay. Now Uranus is in Taurus, and that's not the opposite sign to Venus, to Sagittarius, should I say. It's basically showing opposition in the chart, okay, as that alignment, and it felt significant to mark it up on here. So taking from that, this is about, okay, Uranus retrograde in Taurus. We've got to understand, you know, our worth and values here. So when we're thinking of our Venus values, we need to understand what we're worthy of. We need to create change here and move forward in a new way. So it's that push-pull energy again. If we're aware of it, we can work with it. Okay, we're wanting to open our heart chakra more, to expand to these new ways of investing, you know, our Venus energy, because we've realized what we've had to close out on a deep level, that, you know, we've been investing our time, our energy, our love, etc., in the wrong places or the wrong people, whatever it might be. So it's a redirection of that. That's how it feels, actually, because I was just drawn to the glyph of Sag, which of course is like an arrow, because it is like the archer shooting the arrow in the direction of that, what we want, and that being where we need to go. Sorry, there's so much coming through and I'm trying to speak so quickly. Apologies for that. This is what happens when I kind of open the channel up when I'm doing these readings. So I'm just trying to get this information across to you. But there is this direction, this arrow that is actually there with Sagittarius, and Pallas is also in Sag, and at this moment in time Pars Fortuna will be there. So it's a very fortuitous time in terms of fate and destiny when we look at what we're willing to fight for and stand up for. But it is a quest. We are learning this. So this is about Venus starting her journey at this point in Sagittarius, to be more open, because she's just been at the anaretic degree of Scorpio, analyzing, you know, at the depths, analyzing what investments have not been working, and because of Pluto and because of the full moon energy, you know, needing to close those out. So this is like a rebirth almost of the Venus energy moving forward. Yeah. So we need to make sure that we have our worth in line with that and our values. So we're upholding our values by being more assertive in that heart space energy, of saying, okay, I've understood that I've been investing my time in the wrong things. I've been investing my love in the wrong areas, and I've been investing my attention too much in this direction, and it's not been working for me. So I need to close those out. I'm moving forward. I want to go on an adventure when it comes to my heart chakra, because I want to experience pure joy. And this is part of that transformation. But I know I'm worthy of that. And I know that my values are in place that's going to enable this change to happen. Okay, so just to be aware of that, we need to make sure that our worth and values are in check here. But certainly the moon is teaching us at the final degrees of Aries at this particular point, because not long after, you know, the moon's going to be in Taurus. So, you know, what kind of like, what feels good to us, you know, what feels good. And we can look at values from that perspective when it comes to our feelings, and also having that kind of, I say expensive taste, and that's not meant to trigger, but, you know, moon in Taurus is very much about, you know, if you've got a moon in Taurus, that's all about knowing what you like, and really sort of like having that taste, and that value for high quality things. And there's nothing wrong in that, because you know your worth. That's the whole thing. Moon in Taurus, so you know your worth. And so, you know, the moon will move into that. So we need to understand our worth, even at this final point of the moon being in Aries at 29 degrees, because we've just understood we've had to close out certain things, that I've been investing my time in this for all this time, Oh, goodness me. So it could challenge that authority of Aries, you know, the sovereignty. How have I allowed this to happen? Well, no, instead of us thinking that way or feeling that way, this is about understanding what that's taught us. Remember, Saturn has been teaching us lessons throughout all of this. Pluto is showing us what needs to transform. If we're getting our worth and values in line with our true divinity, we're understanding, gosh, yeah, I've been focusing on that, and my energy's been going to that for all that time. Are you serious? This is about now. This is for me. This is a quest for me. And I want to transform my reality. So I know my worth. I know my values. And also, you know, thanks to this trine, I know the direction I'm going now, and it's towards my sovereignty. So it's profound when you look at the closing out of cycles and how this impacts the energy. Remember, this is just showing you the energy if we're aligning with it, but we've all got free will. We've all got free will, and we're all going through, you know, our own unique situations. Let me just show you very quickly where that's happening for the UK. Okay, so still in the 5th house. Still in the 5th house. There's still that link to the 6th house. Remember, you know, it's kind of focusing on that day-to-day. Where have I been investing my time? We've realized that from you know, the anaretic degree of Scorpio at the time of the super full moon. But now, because she's on a quest in Sagittarius, still in the 5th house, it is opening up the heart chakra to doing things differently on a day-to-day basis. And that is what is going to transform our reality, because we're investing in the right things for us. Okay, time, energy, love, attention, money, and recognizing the beauty in all of that as well with that Venus energy, but knowing one's worth. And certainly when it comes to our connections with others, we need to know our worth, because look at this, Uranus is conjunct 2 degrees off the UK's natal Venus. So there is definitely emphasis here on understanding who you are as that Empress energy. So regardless of gender, but this is about knowing your worth as a sovereign leader and embodying that energy to understand where investment of energy has not been in the best places. Okay, and that could be a bit of a wake-up call. Could be the simplest thing, could be a big thing. Yeah, obviously Mars, we know, is in the 12th house, and Neptune is still in the 9th house, but you know, North Node is just there in the 10th house. So now we've got that extra trine that Venus is there. This is about the heart chakra and how that's guiding us forward on our path to sovereignty, relating to our inner authority. So it is really allowing us to you know, stand up for ourselves with that inner authority of saying, I'm not investing my time and my energy and my love and my attention in that anymore. I want to invest it in this. And I'm moving forward with an open heart chakra in order to do so, because I am a sovereign leader of my own life and I know my worth. Okay. Another mic drop moment for you there, peeps. Okay, I think that's enough. You're probably thinking, thank goodness for that. I have got some oracles here. I will timestamp this as always. I've got the Queen of the Moon. Let's take a card or two from the Queen of the Moon first of all and see what we've got for this super full moon in Aries. I know I showed you the Venus chart in addition, but that was really to show you the power of the closeout of these cycles. And if we can understand where we have been investing our time, energy and resources in the wrong areas or the wrong people, then it's about moving forward into that Sagittarian energy when she does move forward, and how that's guiding us towards our path of sovereignty. So, you know, very proud, but we must know our worth and values in order to do that. And that could be a significant transformation in itself. We might be detaching from cycles where, you know, we've been telling ourselves we're not worthy of certain things, or people have told us that in the past and we've believed it, you know, things like that. It's however it resonates. Certainly don't want to believe what the news tells us, do we? So, you know, like Queen of the Moon Oracle. Let's see what we've got. Let's see what we've got, please, for the collective, for the super full moon in Aries. There we go. That one. That's very interesting, actually. That is very interesting. Obviously, I'll reveal these. One more. I feel there's one more in here. I feel there's one more. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Right. So on the bottom, let's be reminded of the power that we hold within us. Okay. And that stems from knowing our worth and, of course, our sovereignty as well. But we've got focus, and that is beautiful because look at the butterfly on the third eye. So this is about transformation, but actually by opening up our third eye, connecting into that 5D energy via our intuition and receiving the insight that we need. This is about, you know, understanding that there is profound transformation going on here. This one here, you know, there's a synchronicity here because, you know, eyes are closed there, eyes are covered there, and actually on this one, eyes are closed. So there is very much about that introspection of that meditation, connecting into the third eye and understanding what you're being guided and being shown. Okay. And this is about that purity. So that's source energy to me, because that is very much about, you know, the pure white light and everything. So understanding we can receive the insight into how to move forward in that pure divine way. Okay. Because we want to experience peace. But what I'm drawn to here is the fact that there is like a circle. So again, cycles need to close out to bring about this peace. Think about what I showed you in the astrology with the Sun and Juno being conjunct, soul contracts. You know, we're wanting in Libra, we're wanting to actually restore balance, peace and harmony in our soul, but in our commitments and soul contracts as well. Okay. By closing them out, it might restore it, but by closing out other stuff, that might also restore the balance in the soul contracts. Okay. And if you know a lot about soul contracts, you're going to understand what I'm saying. Moonology. Let's go with this. See what we've got. Extra metal, please. For the super full moon in Aries. That's, look at that. Wow. Okay. Sorry, I'm surprised by things on a daily basis. We have got one of my other moonology cards tucked into this. That is very interesting. So I'm going to take that in a minute. What else do we have, please? Thank you. Yeah. Oh boy, is that happening? A new start is coming. Yes. Even though that's new moon energy, okay, a new start is coming because we're closing out cycles, so new cycles can begin. New cycles can't begin if we're holding on to the old. That's what Pluto is showing us. This is the one that was tucked in there. See the bigger picture. Now that's full moon energy. It's Sag energy. So the significance of this is what I was just telling you about Venus. Okay. So if you've actually just got to the card reading, go back to my Venus in Sagittarius chart and you'll see what I'm talking about with that. Very insightful. Let's get some additional messages from Wisdom of the Oracle. That actually hurt my hand. Did that a bit too intensely. This is what the energy is like. It's absolutely building up. Like it's really, that one wants to come out. Thank you. Okay. Okay, what do we have for the full moon in Aries? Okay, one more. Thank you. Right. On the bottom, you might be feeling this, time for a nap. But you know what? That links back to that meditation that I'm feeling. Okay. So I would say, certainly with the introspection that's going on with retrogrades and we're receiving this information via our intuition, we need to absorb that. So we need to be patient with ourselves. That's how that feels. Okay. But also, you know, we can't just sleep through these changes. We need to be responsible for these changes in our own lives. You know, we're the ones with the free will. You know, we're the ones that are in control ultimately. But significant shifts are going to happen regardless. Okay. So community, we've got serendipity. And it is very fated because of these anaretic degrees going on. Observer and building blocks. So yeah, we need to see the bigger picture, and we saw that with that card. We need to look at something maybe from a different perspective, excuse me, or see the bigger picture in order to build the foundation that we're wanting for our reality. Now, this could involve our soul tribe, our community, whether it's work, friends, family, you know, who we're connected to. That could relate to the Venus energy as well, looking at, you know, our commitments and where we have been investing our energy. But also meeting people where they're meeting us. That's about restoring the balance, okay? So putting that same amount of effort in. And if we've understood through what's been shown to us that actually we've been investing in the wrong people, this is about understanding that as well. But I don't get a bad energy from this card particularly. This is a reminder that community, you know, our connections with others is pivotal to, you know, what we need to understand at the moment. Because soul tribe members, you know, we're trying to find our soul tribe members to move forward in that way. And that might involve closing out cycles in other areas, you know, in other sort of community groups in order to move forward if they're no longer in alignment with us. That's what I'm trying to say. And it is a very serendipitous, fated moment for all of this to happen. We know that because I mentioned the anaretic degree is known as the degree of fate or karma. So this is what Pluto's doing. So this isn't just for the full moon. This is about what Pluto's doing. Okay, and understand the green here is taking me back to the heart chakra of Venus, and Venus will be also at 29 degrees, of course, when the super full moon is in play. So, you know, there is a link there definitely to us looking at where we're investing our time, our energy, our love, our money, our attention, our resources, our Venus values. Are we investing, you know, all of those resources in the right areas, in the right people? Is it bringing us that Venus joy? Where do things need to change? Where do cycles need to close out? It's very fated. And, you know, the degree of fate, the degree of karma, there is a lot of karma that's being cleansed and closed out at the moment, relating to past lives, relating to this lifetime, but in the past, you know. So it's understanding the significance of all of that. Now, what I will do is I will actually just take, because I've got this tarot deck here, and I'm just going to make sure I shuffle, because I showed you those cards before, so we want to make sure that they're shuffled. Okay, just to see if there's any additional messages from the Lightseers Tarot deck in relation to this super full moon in Aries. Any additional messages, please, from the Lightseers Tarot, from the Pure White Lights? Those two came out together, and that's very interesting, actually. On the bottom, we've got the Six of Cups, and that can relate to past lives. It can relate to past life soulmates. We've got Cups energy. This is all in the fields. This is all in the fields. Okay. Now they're both in reverse, and with tarot, I do take reversals. So, you know, we've got the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups. I'll show you what they look like in the upright. Now, if anyone knows tarot, you'll know that the Page progresses to the Knight, progresses to the King or Queen. Okay. So you could say there's growth, but in reverse, is there growth is needed? Okay, we don't want to be backtracking here, certainly in our emotions, because it's Cups energy, so we don't want to be backtracking. Now the Page of Cups can be that kind of very innocent, pure love, and almost like it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. It's a bit of a fantasy, that kind of thing. And then the Knight of Cups, Knights are movement cards as well, so that's movement towards love. And you see here there's somebody offering love. So this is about understanding where things are too good to be true and where there's no offering of emotional stability, emotional comfort, emotional depth, whatever it might be, because at the moment there seems to be a bit of a sliding back. You know, it's not the progress, it's in reverse. And that could relate to a past life soul contract. Okay. So take that as it resonates, but splitting the deck, see, yeah, we've got the King of Wands, so we've got a king. He's also in reverse, so there is a need for us to step into our power. That's the Aries energy. Okay, this is the minor arcana of the Emperor card. So that is about, we need to step into our energy here and to own ourselves and recognize anything that's not serving us on an emotional level. We need to close it out. That's what Venus is showing us and what Pluto is showing us. Okay, there we go. Fabulous. Thank you so much for sticking with me for all this time. And you know, it's really understanding, if this is resonating for you at all, where there might be areas of your life that you feel that perhaps you have been investing your time in the wrong things, and it's a wake-up call to be like, well, that's not been bringing me joy. Why have I been doing that? Why aren't I doing this? Why aren't I actually making strides towards, you know, what I want to do? And I've had to look at this as well, just to give you a bit of an example and insight into this. So you might be looking at that. You might be saying, okay, well, actually, you know, I used to do this every week and it's not serving me. So I think I need to close that out because I actually want to be spending my time doing this. It could be major cycles going on. It could be needing to move, wanting to move from a certain area because you've kind of, you know, outgrown it. This is all about our reality changing. So our physical reality. But remember what I showed you in the chart, we're being guided by the 5D. So this is where the 5D and the 3D are actually allowing us to work together. We're straddling both. Those of you know will know, in order to understand, to get those insights in terms of how our reality does need to change, because we're in the driving seat of being able to make those changes. Okay, but it might take courage. It might take that motivation. And for the super full moon, yes, we have got that grand square, that grand cross. So it might feel like we're gridlocked in that way, but we need to understand what we've got to close out before we can take action. So that's where that tension might come in. And it could also be that toxic masculinity as well at play. We'll see how things unfold. But yes, just be open to receiving that insight in terms of cycles that need to close out for you in your physical reality to move forward in the direction that we're trying to go towards, which is sovereignty, being the leader of our own life. Where do we need to stand up for ourselves in order to do that? And wearing blue could be very prevalent to the throat chakra. I've also had to do that myself the past 2 days. I've had to speak up a lot. And now, you know, just feel like I kind of, you know, I am continuing to do that because I will have to say things if I don't believe it's right or if I'm needing to sort things out. So this is about empowering us as leaders of our own life and moving forward with that sovereign energy. We want to restore balance. Of course we do. We want things to be fair. We want justice. We want divine justice. But that might involve speaking up. That might involve us saying, look, I've got to own my worth and I know my values and I need to express this and I need to actually be that sovereign leader of my own life. So I'm sending you love and blessings. Happy full moon, illumination, and releasing and purging, detachment, you know, whatever it is you might be doing, even just becoming aware of it is a step forward, because then you can put that into practice as Pluto is moving, you know, through that anaretic degree of Capricorn, ready to move into Aquarius. Okay, love and blessings, and I'll see you soon. Take care for now. Bye.